Hey guys, me again. I think you're gonna start to see that I do a lot of videos. It's just because I do think it will help you, and I just really enjoy doing videos. So, I do want to have like a quick conversation about the writing process and kind of what that means. So let's go ahead and get started. So the writing process. What is it? Actually, it's just the steps that we take to write and successfully. And your process may be different from my process, so I kind of want you to keep that in mind whenever you do things, that yours may not be the same as mine. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And that's why I said the process can include planning your essay, generating ideas, that's where you come up with things, organizing. I'm a big fan of the organizing part, drafting, some of my students really don't like that part, revising, and editing. So those are the things that we're going to talk about. And we're going to take a brief stop to talk about just little parts of essays too. Okay, so planning. So really, this is easy. This is whenever you get your essay, the day of, you say, when is it due? Basically think in your mind, how long am I going to have to work on it? So why am I writing this essay? So the purpose, and we can think, okay, I'm writing it to get an A, but let's think about it in a different way. So if I'm writing a narrative, it's probably not to persuade very much, it's probably more to inform. So kind of keep that in your mind. And then your audience, who is reading this essay? Obviously your teacher is, but your classmates will be too. So kind of keep that in your mind as well. Okay, so this is a place where I think we can all differ very greatly, generating ideas. So I am one of those people who, I'm really terrible at taking notes. I hate to say that as a college teacher, but I am terrible at taking notes. I was thinking about it last night. So I think probably my biggest two are free writing and brainstorming. And that's just like, I just get a piece of paper and I just like write all over it. And it's like this kind of messed up mess. And then whenever I'm done, the next thing that I do is move on to my outline. Now you may find yourself doing something really different. Like, I've never been a person who's good at clustering or looping, and those are those kind of graphics that some people really, really work well with. They just don't work for me. And I have never kept a journal, and I have always wanted to, you guys, but I just really don't like it. So it is what it is with that. So now, like I said, usually what I do is I brainstorm, then I head to my organization. And for me, my organization is almost always creating an outline. I start my paper with saying, what is my purpose? And then that leads me almost directly to my stance or my thesis sentence. What is this paper going to really be about? And so what am I going to do? So I have my intro, and most of the time I just write intro, thesis in there, and then I move on to my body paragraphs, and then my conclusion. That's how I really look at an outline. And we'll talk more about this for every paper because I have outlines for everything. So then when you're drafting, this is the spot where you just start writing. Now, some people say, I don't do any of that. I just write my essay. I don't love that because I don't think that's going to help you very much. I do think you need to kind of start to do at least a couple of the steps in the writing process. So, but this is the basic writing part. And so I want to talk about just a couple different parts of essays because sometimes people need a little bit of a refresher here. Okay, so you'll have your introduction, and your introduction will have a hook sentence. That's where you get the reader's attention. The next part is where you provide background or context. That's where you kind of tell me what you know about this issue. And then your thesis, and that's the main point of your essay. For different essays, you'll have different kinds of thesis sentences. We'll talk about that whenever we do each one. Okay, body paragraphs. I feel like y'all probably feel really strongly about this because this is really the content, the meat and potatoes. People will usually struggle with intros and conclusions. Body paragraphs are not that bad, but you'll start with a topic sentence almost every time, explain your point, and get out of there. Transition to your next point. Okay, so I think these are really fun and pretty easy. And then your conclusion. So this one is my least favorite. I hate conclusions. I hate them because a lot of times I'm like, oh, I'm done. Just let me be done. So, but that doesn't mean I don't do them. I always do them. So usually I say, I look back at my intro. I'm not going to summarize though because it just, I feel like that's so high school. So, and if y'all aren't in high school, I'm sorry. But then we think about, okay, we've said this. So what? What are the implications of that? And that's where I go next. And then I try to end with a bang. A lot of times, I don't know, you don't know me very well yet, but I love to end on like a pun or something dumb. So That's another thing that I personally do. So whatevs. But again, that's up to you. But I think just a bang where you just kind of provide that some kind of insight or a thought, even a joke could work. Really, just anything that helps me finish this paper. And I like to end strong because honestly, the conclusion is the last thing they're going to see. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, so we're moving back to the process. So we've drafted and now we're revising. This is usually the worst for my students because this is where you make the structural changes. So that's where if like your paper is unorganized, you're going to have to redo some paragraphs. If you have thesis, like you forgot to have, you just didn't have a thesis, and then your paper just does not fit because you didn't really ever have the thesis to guide you. I hate when I have to tell a student, your paper's a little disorganized, it doesn't really have a thesis, and that's almost a start over kind of situation. I hate to say it, but I promise you, y'all, I'm going to say it, because it's not going to make your paper better to ignore the problems. So there it is. Not understanding the assignment, that's another one that's almost a start overable thing, and not following in the instructions. And I see this more in the Writer's Center because it's so bad when you see a paper and the student didn't follow the instructions and they thought maybe they did. It hurts my heart to say you need to revise, which means it's going to take a lot of time and some deep thinking. But it will make your paper better. Keep that in your mind. Okay, the next step to me is pretty easy. Editing. So this is where you look at the smaller issues like grammar, like formatting, like sentence structure, typos, kind of clarity of your sentences. That's where you do all of that. And so I went ahead and I listed some of the things from the Little Seagull. I mean, always use spell check. Use spell check. That's you just got to. That will help. And I think some of my students use Grammarly, and I think that's okay too. I actually think it might be a little bit better than spell check. Okay, a lot of times I'll take a ruler and I'll just put it under each line because that way I can really break down what I'm trying to say. You can read it backwards if you feel like it's going to help. That one I've done a little bit before. I never found it super helpful. The next one I found super duper helpful. Super duper helpful. Read your text out loud. I know you don't want to, but it really does help you catch your own mistakes. And honestly, if you let somebody listen to you, you do it even better. So it's one of the things we do in the Writer's Center as well. So if you ever feel like you need help, go to the Writer's Center. It is a free resource. There's actually what the Writer's Center looks like. We're not open this semester, physically open. All the appointments are virtually. And so what I did was I went ahead and included a link in this presentation that will take you to the Writer's Center. And there's a video for how to do things. And guess who made that video? Me. It's my face. Y'all like, man, she loves a video. But you can make an appointment there as well. So I would think that would be a really great resource for you. I'm going to get back into our PowerPoint. And I think this is a really great thing. We do video sessions and we do online sessions. I'm going to talk more about that. I actually may just go ahead and put the other video up there. But yeah, go to the Writer's Center. You actually get extra credit. And for your first one, I'm going to make you go to the Writer's Center for credit. So keep that in your mind. But that's a little touch on the writing process. Y'all have a good day.